Oh, hello there. Welcome to the Green Living Chats. I'm your host, David. And today we're going to discuss about Industry 5.0 and industrial upcycling for industries to help them to be able to reduce their waste and also make profits from their waste. With our guest, who needs no introduction with the campaign of Wasteless World. He is the founder and father of Industry 5.0. We have with us Micheal Rada. Let's get into it. Hi there, I'm David, and I'll be your host for the Green Living Chat brought to you by EcoAmid Solutions Ghana. We'll be discussing emergent environmental issues and challenges in and around the world. This platform will be used to promote environmental related projects, so stick around with us. Here we go. Hello, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Green Living Chats. We are so grateful that you chose to be with us. And so, welcome, Mike.
Thank you for having me. I am very happy to be on your podcast.
Okay, so I think that since our last interaction, which is actually on YouTube right now, we thought it would be very interesting to have you just to get into details about what Industry 5.0 is, and also we really want to get your concept on what recycling is, and I think you'll be the perfect person to discuss this. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard you on YouTube and you've been to a lot of conferences, but just for the sake of our audience, we'd just like you to briefly introduce what Industry 5.0, but this time I'd just like you to come from the perspective of how the whole thing began. So, Mike, what is Industry 5.0?
So, Industry 5.0 is the first industrial evolution ever led by man. This is important to understand because we are not speaking about the fifth industrial revolution, and the reason is simple. The revolutions, if you follow the industrial revolution, you will find out that they are shorter and shorter. And generally, the first one was, I think, 126 years, but the last one only 2 years long. And it is not my intention, and this is why I developed or introduced or launched Industry 5.0. It is not my intention to introduce short-term tool or goal, but my intention is to build wasteless world. And I do it, and this is connected with the beginning of Industry 5.0, I do it with systematic waste prevention, applicable for industries. Because when I started in 2013 with systematic waste prevention, I find out that nobody take care. Nobody in the world try to prevent waste happen in businesses and industries. Zero waste movement was only for the end users. It was strange to me because I was before working for 23 years or in industries, and I have seen how many and how much waste is being generated by every single business and company I was working for or in, and it was unbelievable. And I started to understand this in 2010. I spent 3 years with pre-development, and I launched industrial upcycling, which is the ground storm of Industry 5.0 back in 2013. So what is Industry 5.0? It is systematic waste prevention, which is applicable for physical trash, for social waste, for urban and process waste, which means which is applicable everywhere, in every segment, and for everyone.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I read an article that was talking about Industry 5.0 and industrial upcycling. What is the difference? Because it seems initially that was the name. I don't know whether it's a different concept or it's a different company, or what's the difference between Industry 5.0 and industrial upcycling?
Generally, Industry 5.0 is based on industrial upcycling. Okay. Industrial upcycling is the methodology for systematic waste prevention, and Industry 5.0 is the complex environment which is based on the industrial upcycling. So these are not two different things. Mm-hmm. First was industrial upcycling, and after them came the Industry 5.0. The reason for was the request from industrial clients, which pointed out that the work which is done by industrial upcycling is much more bigger than just a tool or just a one single process. Mm-hmm. It was so complex that even the clients, which has been big industrial companies, start to call it a new industry. And this is how the Industry 5.0 name came.
Mike, I've heard you a couple of times talking about companies not being able to incorporate zero waste into the agenda and their processes. Is this what really moved the Industry 5.0 agenda, or is this the reason why you brought the Industry 5.0 concept?
It is maybe for many strange, but it is not the environmental aspect. The environmental aspect is important, but is not the mover. The mover, in fact, is only one point, and this is the profitability. Mm-hmm. Because before I enter any new project or any new company, I usually speak with the CEOs or the owners or investors. Mm-hmm. And I ask them only one question. Do you want to generate waste or profit? So simple it is. Because if you start to prevent waste happen, you do not generate waste anymore. And waste means a lot of cost. Monthly cost, regular cost, and generally growing cost. And what is Industry 5.0 offering is not only to reduce this cost up to level of zero, but even to put on a place where was a cost center, a profit center instead. Just an example, I have a client which made things from metal. It's a big factory, and they generated monthly about 100 metric tons of metallic, steels, ferron, and non-ferrous as well. So material which you can sell. They sold it to a waste company. But when we started to work together, I have realized by implementing the tools which we use, like audits and so on, I have realized that the waste company is buying for totally wrong price. And it shows up that every month, the waste company take away from the pocket of the client additionally $100,000. For the waste company, it was very well profitable business for a decade, but for the client, it was generally a loss, and big loss if you can calculate it within the 10 years of time when they cooperated. So we start to implement the systematic waste prevention in a way to increase the value of the obsolete material which is being produced. And because the old waste company does not want to change the approach, we change the waste company or we change the partner. And this is how the client have learned, firstly, to reduce the volumes of his waste by better utilization of the material, of the raw material he used. And secondly, he was able to increase the selling price of the generated waste. And this was the reason why the client asked for Industry 5.0 to be implemented in complex picture, not only in one company, but in more factories. So if we cannot expect the companies to change because of the environment, but we can expect, and it is fact, they will change because of the economy. And Industry 5.0 is much more profitable than Industry 4.0. There is one reason as well, one additionally. If you would like to implement tools of Industry 4.0, generally robots, machinery, new machinery, IT, and so on, IoT, you have to invest upfront, and usually a lot of money, because you have to buy new technology. But for Industry 5.0, we use so-called on-the-ground mine. So we use something what the client have already, but have not seen because of the professional blindness. It's a very complex thing. We recognize this through audits generally, but every client, every industry, every factory has tools which they purchased long time ago and does not use. And we are finding this out. We are finding the way how to utilize it. And this is why Industry 5.0 does not need upfront any capital investment usually, but it generates profits straight away. And this is the reason why it goes so fast when a company starts to implement Industry 5.
Now, listen to you carefully. You have made mention of profits, of which I think every company should be interested in profits. But what are the challenges in this? Which companies are willing to adapt this practice, and what are the challenges that you face when you approach other companies who seem to be not interested in this practice?
I will start with the second group. Okay. The companies which, let's say, refuse to implement, there are two types. First one, the companies does not know about its existence because, as you know, Industry 5.0 development was never funded externally. So the penetration is not a rocket. It's just a step by step. It's evolution.
Yes.
But the second reason is that some of the companies or some of the segments does not recognize the potential and are sticking with the old habits, like the oil industry thinks that only getting oil out of the ground is the best business. It must not be. Waste company thinks that the best business is just to manage the waste and transport it. No, it's not. But they are so encapsulated in the own idea or own environment that they cannot look out of the box. And this is one of the aspects. In the logistic, for example, we collect so-called logistic paradoxes. One of them is slower can be faster. If I tell you, you will say, I am crazy. But as an example, we have tested a full automatic forklift, which is really full automatic, and he can drive only 5 kilometers per hour because of the safety. And we compare it with the result of a forklift driver, experienced one, which can ride double the fast in the factory. Which one do you think make more work at the end of the shift? The slower one or the faster one? In fact, it was the slower one because he needs no breaks, he needs no cigarettes, he needs nothing to eat, and finally, he cannot be so simply said by anyone, please stop here and help me with this. But the faster one was influenced by the environment, and because in every factory you have friends and so on, so he was helping to the others outside of his working scope or portfolio. And this makes him, who is twice as fast, to be slower, in fact, in the volume of the work than the slower machine. And we use this example. We did not kick away the forklift driver, but we just modify the system, how he is being led and managed. And then he was same as fast and even better than the machine. But we have to analyze first. So if a company cannot look outside of their box, probably they will struggle to understand similar things like the slower is faster. And this is the reason why so many speeches, so many articles, so many events I speak and tell to people and show to people the examples how really the Industry 5.0 works, because I am not speaking about the theory. All the topics which I speak about all of them I implemented in the factories. So is the real, is the reality, is the result. And this is what finally, when they test, this this persuades them to change. But they have to touch it, they have to test it themselves.
Yeah, that's right. I think that a lot of companies are very rigid to change. I mean, when it comes to the industry in general, and this has been very obvious in most of these packaging companies, those in beverages, and they are really struggling to change. I think directly based on what you're saying right now. And would you agree that our perception of waste right now, the perception that we generally have about waste, is the reason why we see this level of pollution in our environment? I mean, in the same
Yes,
way as we see companies struggling to change because they don't want to investigate or even get to hear the details of the Industry 5.0 approach. Do you think that our perception is the reason why?
yes. You pointed very, very exactly. This is exactly our perception because in our perception, we have learned that waste is something which is must. We have been told that we have to throw things away. And this volume just increased. This changed our mindset and our perception. Our mindset is, and the business mindset currently, I call it wasteful.
Mm,
If you start a new project, it's strange. If you go to a factory and you start a new project, you have this project calculations and OEEs and all these numbers. And one of these numbers is the volume of waste, which is acceptable. It's very strange because if you start to produce a car or a metal plate for a car, for example, you
mm-hmm.
know that 15% can be thrown away. And you know it from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And this put in your mind that 15 is fine, so if I made 20, it's still fine. But you work with the idea that wasting is normal. It's something common. But if you ask your grandparents, or if you look in old books or anywhere, it was never like this. Never before the true boost up industry started. Because the people try all the time from the ancient times to use the material as much as possible. Not only single time, they use it multiple times. They cut the stone in sharp things, then the rest was put on the ground and so on. Only in the last 50 years generally, the perception of the waste and wasting changed radically. I am almost 50, so I was not at the beginning, but my grandfather is 97. And we are discussing a lot of this stuff.
Mm,
And he said even before the Second World War, it was not common to waste so much. And of course, it's connected to the increase of our consumption. I call our society a consciety, consumable society.
mhm.
But the horrible point is that we don't see how much waste is behind every new product. This is something what is covered, and we have to make up the wake up calls. And I hope your podcast will be one of those because we have to wake up the audience. We have to change the perception. And you can change it only if you show the reality. It's hard. Sometimes I am almost crying when I see full truck of radish being scrapped away immediately without any thinking. It's being thrown in a garbage container. But I know it can be changed.
Yeah. Well, before we get into materials again, I just want to follow up on this again. So, in this particular case, who do we blame? Is it the consumers, those in logistics, or the producers? Or where is the blame?
Uh, I will say generally it's all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, it starts with every single man because the perception of a man can change only the man itself. But if you ask in a group, in more bigger picture, I will say the economy. I call it modern age economy, which is built and established not on quality, it's established on quantity. The investors in a car factory does not ask how many cars the factory sold because the factory generally is just producing. Selling is another department or another branch. And the producers are asked only what is the volume of production and not asking about the balance between consumption and production. So from my perspective, I am not an economist. From my perspective, the modern age economy, which really concentrate only on volume and, and nothing else, is the one to blame. And it's connected directly to politics and so on. So if you would like to see the big pictures, you have to all the time to understand what is the core business of those people who do it. And but the change itself, it's in our mind. So we can blame whoever we want, but if we would like to achieve the change, we have to change ourselves first.
There's been a lot of articles, a lot of conversation, webinars, and all that. And this conversation always comes in between who do we have to blame? And we keep pushing the blames without really focusing on what really matters. And I'm really glad that you just mentioned this. And it's very, very important that we all have to try and make a change in a way. Producers are producing, and if they don't even take care of what they are producing and limits the packaging and all that is involved, consumers might not have a choice. They also go in and buy all sort of things, and it's like that cycle keeps going and going. And I really like this important fact that you mentioned, that we are producing more than we demand. The demand is. So this loophole, we don't know how to close it and how to figure out things.
I will jump into it just
Okay.
shortly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We have tools. Modern age, IT, and so on have tools which can close the loop,
Yes.
like advanced planning systems. These are really based on big volumes data analytics, very exact one, which can predict how many breads will be sold in the store next to you in 3 days.
Mm.
The discrepancy is usually lower than 1%. So it's really exact.
Yeah.
So it's not true that we do not have the tools.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is we do not want to use them. And this is a big difference. So because we think the old way is the best and most profitable way, and because we do it because of profit, we ignore the existence. So we have the tools. I have to say, some people call me inventor, but generally I am inventing time to time something. But what I do and what I do frequently in innovations and Industry 5.0 project is I do not develop new things. I take something what is existing, I take second item which is existing, and I combine it in a non-existing way. And I get something completely new, which nobody thought about it will work because I go across the industries. I don't care whether I take it from car industry and I deliver to food industry. It doesn't matter. I just combine two things which are existing. So I know we have the tools, but we have to wake up the interest to apply them.
If you're enjoying this content, kindly leave a comment, or you could as well review us on iTunes. This will help others to be able to find this content. You could also make your voice heard concerning environmental issues and sustainable living by joining our MEC blogs, where we give you the opportunity to publish your thoughts concerning what you see around and possible solutions. Visit our website www.ecowametsolutions.com for details. Now back to today's episode. I know you have a long history of experience in logistics. And I just want us to drive a little talking about materials. And since you mentioned tools, I would just want to get your opinion on this. There are different materials that maybe an industry will decide to use to produce a particular product. And there has been so many discussions going on about plastics and glass, which one is green, metal, wood, which one is green, and the whole argument comes in with the use of life cycle assessment, and it has been proven. I don't know to which level they are doing this. That LCA proves that plastics are more green as compared to glass, metals, and the others, considering the energy that is used in producing them. What is your take on this, and what is Industry 5.0 proposing to industries when they have to make choices of materials they have to use?
Thank you for this question. It's generally, it doesn't matter which material you use. It sounds maybe strange, but the fact is, it's not the plastic or paper or wood or metal. It is the way how we behave with it, which means it is the way how we use it. If we will use, sorry for that, these are just emails, I cannot switch it off. If you use metal just a single time, you will have same issue with the metal like which you have with the plastic at the moment. And so it's the way how we use the material. For me, plastic is just one of the materials. It's just another form of crude oil. Generally, for more than 30 years, exists a technology which can turn plastic back to crude oil. It's called pyrolysis, and it exists, but it's not used. And the reason why we have all this plastic issue is because we throw it away after single use. And this is the wrong part. This is the wrong part which I discovered in the logistic world. We throw away things after just a single use because it was said it's a single use. If you see the volume of cardboard boxes used, just a single one without any damage, thrown away. Wooden pallets, plastic packaging, all of them without any damage at all. It's being thrown away. And this is the issue. So not the material, but if you ask what is the best material, all the time you have to see the complex picture. One example, IKEA. For me, IKEA has one of the best packagings because it's really close and tight, and it's just cardboard, usually a little plastic bag maybe inside for the screws. But still I am something missing for this. And this is if you buy a bed, which is a big carton, why IKEA does not implement a solution that I will use the carton as a table, for example. It will be very simple thing, and it's applicable. I talked with IKEA about it 3 years ago, and still they refuse. But you have a big piece of cardboard which will end up in a landfill only because you don't know what to do with it. But if there will be a manual, please fold it this way, and you will have a chair or table or side table, for example, next to the bed, you will probably do it. And it will not end up in a landfill, in a waste. So all the time, if you develop something new, you have to look which materials you can use generally, then see the whole picture. Because there is a lot of discussion about whether tin containers or aluminum cans for the drinks or glass. Generally, it doesn't matter. If you have not secured the complex life cycle, means the collection at the end, it will end up as a waste and it will be exactly the same no matter whether you will use this or that. The only difference maybe will be fast, fast dissolvable packagings, which you put in a water and it dissolves generally, but or edible. Edible. We are developing, for example, edible packaging. So you buy your sweets in a packaging, and at the end, you can even eat the packaging.
I want to ask you one last question about these problems, and later I think we can dig into more of your approach and other things. Um, with this material problem, a lot of companies are also, hiding behind the concept of recycling, that they might be able to, get these materials that they use for their products back and all that. What's your perception about recycling? I've seen some of your articles talking about recycling, and I know that you don't agree with the concept, but I just want you to emphasize this here and make some
Okay.
examples.
Uh, I know you have read my article, which is called Recycling the Big Lie Story.
Yes.
Uh, Recycling as an idea, it's a great idea. It's correct idea. Let's take something what we have and let's use it again, simplify to say. But the wrong about is that the waste industry took recycling as a tool to increase the waste volume and they're profitably. And in fact, I'm preparing just now my speech for the conference in India related to this. And there are following numbers. Generally, till 2050, in some regions, including Africa, the volume of waste should double in next 30 years. So double. And including the recycling. The issue is that the waste industry delivered the perception to the people that if you separate your waste, you are recycling. But this is a lie. This is not true. Separating of waste category is just the first step on quite a long journey for recyclation. But because we think recycling is when I throw the aluminum can in a right aluminum garbage bag, then I am recycling, but that's wrong. In fact, some countries, including my country, Czechia, Czech Republic, is reporting 92% recycling of municipal waste. But in fact, in the country are being just 3% recycled. All the rest is traded. It's just a commodity. And what happened at the end, nobody knows. So recycling is great, but in the right hands, it's exactly the same like with the fire. The fire can heat you, so it's a good servant, but it can burn you and burn your house and take your life when it's your king. And this is exactly with the recycling. We have to get rid of the lie that separation is equal to recycling. That's very important. It is not. And I would like the laws and legislation, and I am working towards it, change in this way. Because if it does not, and we still support and fund recycling in a way which is right now, the volume of waste will only grow up to the numbers which I just mentioned. And these are numbers presented by World Bank. It's not just my numbers. World Bank predicts till 2050 in some regions it double the volume of waste. And that's a horrible picture which I will do everything never to happen. And Industry 5.0 is the tool how to avoid it because it is waste prevention. We do not throw it away means the waste will not happen. So we don't need to recycle. This is why we invented and implement not the 3R, reduce, reuse, recycle, but 6R, recognize, reconsider, realize before you implement the 3Rs. And if you do right, you will have no waste. So simple it is.
Yeah, it's just great that you just mentioned about the 6 hours. It was just my next question to ask you with Industry 5.0. Um we I don't know if our audience have actually explored your this practice, but I think that we have to commend you on this project and this work that you're doing with your whole heart and your whole life. And it's really making a change. And I think that young and upcoming and startup companies can also pick up this concept. But since you just mentioned it, I think it will be a great time to just put a little emphasis on this 6R methodology and also how it's related to circular economy.
Okay, so first of all, circular economy, it's partly copying the waste industry because if you look at the words, they use the words waste is treasure. The same words use the waste industry. Of course, the concept of circular economy, which is almost 60 years old, it's correct. Same like with the recycling. But the realization, unfortunately, is stuck because it's in the hands of the waste industry. But coming back to the 6R, the best is, of course, and I hope you can add to the podcast at the end the link to the presentation. But I will explain how the 6R works. And I have to say, it's not easy. Trust me, it's really not easy. You have to learn, but if you learn how to, the next project will be easier and the next even easier because your mind start to change from wasteful to wasteless. So the first step on your journey is recognize that something must not become waste, which means if you have a plastic bottle, you drink out the content, and the standard way will be to throw it away in a garbage bin. Please don't do it. Let's put it on your table and let's look at it with the eyes. Do I have to throw it away or can I do something with it? What if I refill it? And the great about it, if you refill it, you cut in half the carbon footprint of the bottle. So firstly, you have to recognize that something must not become waste. The second point, reconsider. And this is the point what I will do with the plastic bottle. If it's standing here on my table, okay, I refill it. It's great. I will have a drinking water again, or I can maybe put the water on the flowers, or I can make something out of it. And this is just in the stage of idea. But again, very hard, because if you see the bottle, you will see all the time a bottle. You will see something what contain a liquid. And this is the next limitation, because a bottle must not be used as a bottle. I don't know whether you saw the project Plastic Bricks from Brazil, I think, where they fill the plastic bottles with another plastic trash. They really made it tight and they built walls out of it and buildings. It's a great project. But still, it's the second point is still on the level of idea. I can use it some way. But the third point I love most, it's realize. Let's do it. Let's fill the bottle with the water and take it with you. Let's make the brick out of it and see how much it resists. Let's make it, because even if you fail, what happens if you fail? You just generate a waste, but still the wasting process will be delayed by a few minutes, few hours, few days, I don't know. But if you succeed, you will start to change the world, because from one bottle you can do 10, you can do with 1,000, you can build whole villages with the walls made out of plastic bottles. You can change the life of billions just making it. And this is one point which is really missing in the current times, because there is more investment done to the stories than to the results. And this is a pity. Because if the same amount of money which was invested in the stories, like I will clean the ocean, but at the end it broke $35 million and 5 years he needs. And it broke in 3 days, and he collected less waste than if one household produced in 1 month or one factory in 1 day. I don't understand this. And I hope it will change, that the people will finally, and the investors, will finally reward results, not to give money just to dreams. Because it's not enough. This does not change the world. This just make the solution delayed by years and decades. And this is 6R, because if you have the 3R, recognize, reconsider, realize, you don't have to reduce, reuse, recycle. So simple it is. So because you prevented waste happen. So the results are there, and in Industry 5.0 or in the 7 years I do my job, I prevented over 1 million metric tons with my clients. And 1 million metric tons, it's a lot of products which will otherwise become waste.
Right. It's a very practical methodology, and I think that we are also going to adapt this in our awareness campaign. And I think that, I mean, we have already had early conversations about this, and I think that we're going to start putting it out there to the public, and I hope that public are going to learn a lot of things out of this. But supposing I am a company, I have an industry, and we are producing, let's say, paper for printing, and I want to adapt this practice of Industry 5.0 or industrial upcycling. What are the process?
So firstly, I have to look at the waste which I am generating with a different eyes. Currently, in many countries, there is a base legislation which rate waste according to the groups, like paper waste, metal waste, plastic waste. There are all the time 5-digit or 6-digit codes which rate waste. But from this code, you do not recognize whether it's just plain sheet of paper or whether it's 100 meters of paper roll. You just see paper. So first of all, you have to do something which we called on the ground mines OTGM audits, which means let's see your waste with different eyes. Let's separate it. Let's see not paper, but see this is sheet, this is paper roll, this is something else. And put it in a separate, make a picture, and remember that you do not have just general waste, general paper waste, but you have these and these. The second step is show it to your employees and to your partners and to your suppliers. Maybe you will find out that your suppliers would like to take it back as a packaging, or they would like to even buy it back because they can produce out of it again, or they can do something different. So this is the second step. And the third one, start with it. So simple it is. Start with it. And you will immediately reduce the volume of your waste. There is one point which is very sensitive and you have to really take care of. And this is the logistics. In Industry 5.0 and industrial upcycling projects, these are the projects which the most sensitive logistics setup I have ever seen in 30 years of my business career. Until I started with it, And until I realized that I was thinking that just in time or even just in sequence deliveries to the production line are the really most advanced delivery systems, but not. In fact, because in just in sequence, you have to deliver a very specific part in very specific time on a very specific place. This is just in sequence. So you know what to deliver, when to deliver, and where to deliver. But in industrial upcycling, where generally no waste is existing in a factories, because if you enter a factory, they will tell you we have no waste. Uh, you have to pick up. You don't know the quantity. You don't know when this waste will be generated, and frequently you don't even know where it will be generated, and still your truck should be there to pick it up. It's a very specific, it's a really logistics sensitive issue. Everybody can start, but the setup to be working, it can take days, weeks, even months to set it up. Just now, we are working on a project which takes even 1 year to set up a process, industrial upcycling process, to save one and single cardboard box, but in a huge quantities. And it's really, really unbelievable how sensitive it can be.
And with this time frame, what actually goes into it? Is it maybe the company's capacity, or what brings this time frame?
Um, it's the partly is the capacity itself, but the capacity, in this case, the storage capacity, because if you generate a waste or a product at the end of the line, you do not have enough space to store it, because until now it was waste, and just now you have to behave with it like it is a product. So you have to have additional storage. So the sensitivity in it is that you should not block with this new material or new on the ground mind, you cannot block your factory ground. And this is why the cooperation between the producer of the obsolete material or the production rests and the consumer who is picking up, including the logistics setup, has to work very closely together to really streamline the process. So the location means space, and time are the two biggest topics which has to be managed correctly.
I think I'll just use this opportunity to urge all the companies and startups, industries that are listening to us that Industry 5.0, I have seen a lot of the things that are going on. I've seen the products, and I think that most of these companies, what we are looking out is for us to get our profit, and also as well help the environment and help to protect the environment as well. And we can get all these things in this practice. So no matter how difficult it will be at the beginning, I'll just urge producers, consumers, and all people to keep and try to practice this concept, which has been proved that it works, and so that we can help to prevent and protect our environment. And I think that with these processes that you have talked about, you have also made it clear that it's not an easy approach, but I think that if we want it well, we really need to invest into it, and we're going to be very happy about the results. And I would just like to ask one more thing about, so from your experience, we have talked a lot about industry approach and consumption, recycling, and other things. With all the experience that you have gathered, what do you think is the way forward for environmental management? I know you're more into the industrial sector, but I think this also applies in your field, and you might have a very good experience with this. What do you think is the main um, way forward with the challenges we are facing in the management?
So It is the understanding of the complexity. This is something what I'm missing. And from the point of management is the second thing which I'm missing, and this is the efficient communication across the whole company and industry and generally across the whole life. We are using frequently very special language, and I don't speak about English, German, Czech, no. I speak about our business specific language. If there is an IT specialist speaking to you and you are not an IT specialist, you will probably understand just 10% of what he or she is saying. The same will be for logistics, the same will be for economy, production, politics. We are missing, I call it language of efficiency, and it is really strange that in some of the project I have to include vocabularies because between two people which are speaking the same mother language, but they don't understand each other. So let's improve our way how we communicate. Our speeches and our messages should be understandable to all, not just the target audience. It must be understood by my grandmother, so as by my daughter, same as by worker, so as by the general manager. And this is why I selected as an aim of Industry 5.0 to build up wasteless world. And I'm asking the people whether they would like to live on a landfill, and nobody in 7 years ever says, yes, it's my dream to live on a landfill, because it is nobody's dream. And even the waste pickers, when I spoke with them from India, they said, it's our life, but if we can choose, we will prefer not to live on a landfill. So let's work together. Let's find a common language. And I don't speak about 19 SDG goals, which are great, but why do we need 19? I have just one aim. Because this aim is understandable to all. And if we find a language, we can start to change. If we do not, the damage of the environment and the planet will continue, and we do not have time to waste. Not 2030, not 2050, nothing like that. We have to start today to see the results tomorrow. But firstly, we have to recognize. And this is what I hope the podcast will help.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike, for making time for this. I think we can use this opportunity to maybe talk about your upcoming international conference on waste to wealth. I can't wait to join that. Maybe you can give us some details about this upcoming conference.
Okay, so it will be held in India. It's a second generally Indian speech. Indian industry is going very fastly forward to Industry 5.0. So I was asked to present, and the name of my speech, which will be held on October 30th, 2020, in the, I don't know the time, but we can put the link there. It's the waste industry in the age of Industry 5.0. And I'm sure many of the waste industry players which will attend will be surprised how much waste prevention can deliver them. Because I would like to wake up the waste industry, which is currently based their profit on the waste volumes, but this is not right. So I will speak about the change function of the waste industry in the age of Industry 5.0, which started already in 2015. And it goes global thanks to COVID and thanks to other things. it goes much more faster than I expected before. So I hope every country will adapt within 1 or 2 years the Industry 5.0 in their legal frame.
You have really opened our eyes to so many concepts, and it has been really worth having you here. And thank you so much, Mike, for making time for this, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me there. If anybody would like to help or seek for information, just input my name in a Google search or input Industry 5.0 name. Probably you will land with me. And please use the podcast of EcoEmet Solutions. Use their knowledge, which they generate and try to spread, to change the world. And I will be happy if we can do it together.
We definitely will. Thank you so much, Mike, for being with us on today's podcast, and we really appreciate it. Have a good day, Mike.
You too.
Thank you so much for making time with us on today's episode. Industry 5.0 could be the future of waste management at all levels. If we can speak the same language, we can definitely solve all our waste problems. See you same time next week, and don't forget, live green.